patched it up a little bit with Destiny. Mark Cuban's company doesn't really do anything, right? It's a pharmacy. So how's it different from CVS or Walgreens? I mean, they have a lot of scales and they have some profits, but they have pretty low margins. So even if Mark Cuban's margins were half as much, that's not like it's a lot of savings you could really pass to the customer. Pharmacy gross margins are really low. So even if he was willing to run it as a non-for-profit, I'm not sure he could really do much better. It's very difficult to buy pharmaceuticals in bulk at a lower price than somebody else. It doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Why wouldn't CVS, with their 5,000 stores, be able to buy in bulk at a cheaper price? If I'm a small generics company, am I going to give the best price to Mark Cuban? Am I going to give the best price to CVS or Walgreens that could get a better price from my competitor? You want to buy 5 pills? You want to buy 5 bottles? Or do you want to buy 5,000 bottles? Think about it. Mark Cuban's business isn't big enough to support that. He says that because he drop ships the medicine, he can avoid the costs that the pharmacy has. But the problem is those costs aren't that much for the pharmacy. The biggest margin problem is the gross margin. So, anything about this stuff, you'd know that. But yeah, I'm still mad at the goth kid. Yeah. Cuban is not even doing generics. You got to keep in mind. Cuban doesn't make generics. He buys them and resells them. That's not a good business. Not a good business. I recommended enrolling in some study courses for sure. Unreal is great, but I'm looking for web browser stuff. So this is iced coffee. So, it's good to be an online store. You don't have to operate a store, but you have to operate shipment. And shipping is annoying. People go to the pharmacy because they can pick up their drugs right away. Yeah, PillPack is, gave you kind of a fundamentally different product, right? 3JS is good for rendering. I'm not sure it's not a game development platform though. Yeah, it's kind of sad. Cuban's not going to succeed at that company. I wouldn't want to be fulfilling orders of, kind of really low-end pharmacy company. It's easy to start a pharmacy, interestingly. It's hard to make one profitable. It's a very, very low-margin business. There's a reason Amazon doesn't do it. Yeah, and without insurance, it's just a cash pay market, which is like 2% of pharma. So even if he got the whole cash pay market, it doesn't make much sense. Generic business is a little different. You can do well in generics, but it's still a low margin business. Yeah, it's kind of sad. Yeah, I mean, when I talk about a game engine, canned tomato, I'm talking about something that manages the state of game assets, right? So the rendering agent is something else. 3JS lets you actually create the shapes, right? It'll render the shapes, but it won't I don't think let you animate them or put them in a group or change scenes and all that stuff. You have to sort of develop. You would have to develop yourself, which isn't such a bad thing. I don't watch Shark Tank, so I don't really know. Yeah, Indians are definitely generic masters. Effexor is not the only drug I take. I take albuterol. I take Claritin. I take Montelculast or Monteculast. which is used to be called Singulair. Let's see if I have that here or not. I don't. I take, I'm going to start taking Dupixent, Montelukast. Yeah, a lot of asthma. What's up, Ari? Ari knows. Yeah, I've gotten asthma over the years. What's up, Haley? Thank you. You don't have a sister named Heather, do you? No, you can't really build a tolerance. Yeah, Pfizer's definitely sitting on a lot of unused compounds. Well, the problem with asthma is like you can get exercise-induced asthma and stuff like that. There's no such thing as a longevity drug. Yeah, so for MLAI, I have a text-based MLAI game, but I'm trying to like at least give it some 2D life. Yeah, I that's right, Cookie Crisp. It's funny because Novartis just bought out that drug's competitor. I was kind of one of the first people to look at endothelin antagonists for kidney disease, and then Novartis just bought out this company that was kind of like a copycat company to us. Their stock ticker is, funny enough, KDNY, kidney, kind of cute, right? Called Chinook. And it doesn't make a lot of sense because that drug is basically generic, $3.2 billion, kind of insane. Atrasentan, which basically AbbVie was willing to give away. And I tried to talk AbbVie into buying my compound called Sparsentan and giving up Atrasentan. So I said you should quit on Atrasentan and just take Sparsentan, because we had a couple of years of patent life and they didn't have any. And guess what AbbVie did? They said, we went into long due diligence with them. They were really nice people. I really recommend them to do a deal with. Probably one of the best companies to do a deal with. Yeah, we'll talk about Babylon in a second. But they decided to pass. So they said, we're not going to, buy your company or license your drug or anything like that. Now, AbbVie was also trying to get into kidney disease with a company called Reata. So Reata was a company that had a drug for kidney disease, and AbbVie paid a ton of money to license it. And that drug ended up not working for kidney disease. So they were going to kind of pair Atrasentan with the other kidney drug that they got from Reata. So they kind of could have two shots in one big disease state, which is diabetic nephropathy. And both, so the first, when Reata sort of failed, AbbVie kind of quit on Atrasentan too. But their plan was to go ahead with Atrasentan. They'd started a trial. They interrupted the trial after they decided they didn't want to be in the kidney disease business. And they basically gave away Atrasentan to this company Chinook. So Chinook took the product and did what we did, which is they started a bunch of kidney disease trials. And those trials worked like ours did. And our drug's FDA approved now. I think it's called Filspari. And they also did a bunch of those clinical trials. The problem is that Chinook's drug is only going to get 5 years or 7 years of intellectual property, which is basically useless, right? Like, a small molecule is not kind of what you want when you, I don't know, like it just doesn't make sense to me. You might get 5 years, you might get 7 years. You can't really reformulate. It's possible they could do a combination pill or something. I know they have another bunch of kidney diseases, but it really doesn't make sense. It's kind of a really bad deal in my opinion. Even if they sold, say, like $300 million of medicine a year, which is a lot, they basically would have no discount rate, no other costs to break even. So Novartis does a lot of bad deals lately. I think their new CEO is pretty shitty, and they probably will fire him at some point. So controlled release and stuff like that doesn't really work. I don't take Adderall now. I don't know why you're so focused on ADHD. I don't know what to tell you. The Lilly deal was interesting. That's a lot more interesting than something like this. Like, this isn't a medicine that'll be, like I said, the atrasentan patent expired a long time ago. I wouldn't buy puts on Novartis necessarily. Like, some of these big pharmas are really hard to destroy. Yeah, nephrology is something I like a lot too. But when you do M&A or you do investing, it's not about what you like. It's about what's a bargain, right? There could be companies that you really like and admire, but if they're not a bargain, it doesn't really make sense to like their stock. Yeah, I still like NTLA. So atrasentan made sense for $1 million, but I don't know that it makes sense to buy it for $3.4 billion. That's 34 times the price that the buyer paid, or 3,400 times the price, I should say, than the buyer paid. Imagine buying something and selling it to somebody for 3,400 times, not 3,400%, 3,400 times what you bought it for. Now, of course, they put in a lot of money after they bought it. They probably put in a couple $100 million, but it's still, sort of a 20x for the company that developed atrasentan. So good work if you can get it. But sparsentan, interestingly, is still trading for a fraction of what what they got bought out for, the kidney. So this is only $1.2 billion. Meanwhile, sparsentan is as good as atrasentan. It's a third of the price. I think Novacure is kind of a joke. I always thought it was pathetic. Semaglutide's cool. I'll take any question you want.